So what is good, YouTube, and welcome back. In this episode I'm going to be talking about the biggest photography project I've done to date, and it's my solo photography book across Japan. Now firstly, before I get into this episode, a huge thanks to everyone who's subscribed to this channel, who's subscribed to my Instagram, and who's been following my work. The only reason I've been able to release this book is because of you guys. And I'm just eternally grateful. A huge thanks. So in this episode, I'm going into detail on what's inside the book, what kind of things you can expect, and also talking a bit about the process of making a photography book. So Across Japan is a collection of photos I took from all over the country. And when I was making this book, I really wanted to show the lesser seen and less traveled to areas of Japan. So the book starts in Tokyo, it goes through the Mount Fuji area, then we travel to the south of Japan, down to Yakushima Island, up to Nagano, and up to Fukushima as well, and then we return to Tokyo to see it at nighttime. In short, this book is Japan through my eyes, but we're gonna get into more detail on what's inside shortly. Firstly, how and why I started creating a photography book. Now, around 4 years ago, I was contacted by a Chicago-based publisher called Trope, and they invited me to join them to create a London photography book. So this was me and 14 other London-based photographers all sending in our images to create the City of London book. So after the London book was released, it won an award. I was talking with Trope and we were bouncing around ideas about a solo photography book. And we landed on the idea of making a book about Japan and my time in Japan. And to me, it was just fitting because Japan is where my photography journey started. It was where I took my first photos. It's where I most love taking photos. So it just makes complete sense for me for my first photography book to be based on the images I took in Japan. So by that point, I'd actually taken a bunch of shots in Japan from my trip in 2017, and shortly after I decided to go again, and this was the 2019 trip. So with both of these trips, I was going all across the country. I wasn't just staying in Tokyo and Kyoto or in the big cities. On the 2017 one, I used the Shinkansen, which is the bullet train, to go all across the country, all the way down to the south, to the island of Yakushima. Whereas in the 2019 trip, I was driving around the country and was getting into the lesser seen and harder to get to areas of Japan. So what you have to remember when pulling together a photography book is you have to tell a story. It can't just be crazy Instagram banger after banger. And this is probably the hardest part of creating the photography book, because I mean, at the end of the two trips, I had around 900 photos, and it was getting those 900 down to about 180 shots. Next up, when we're talking about challenges when it comes to making a photography book, one of the main ones is translating an image which looks good on a screen to print. So printing images is a whole different world. How your shots look on a screen and how they look on your phone is very different to how they look on paper. Because when you're printing, there's so many different variables. There's the ink being used, there's the printer being used, there's the color profiles, and then there's the paper, the texture of the paper, the color of the paper. So all of these things have to be tested, and obviously due to the ongoing pandemic, this was made difficult as I was unable to travel over to Chicago, and it just took a long time to keep on sending images back and forth, deciding upon the correct colors, deciding upon the paper. But again, I'm really happy with especially the colors in the book. So back to Across Japan, the book starts in Tokyo, and it's Tokyo at daytime, and it's kind of showing my first days in Tokyo, my first experiences in Tokyo, and what it was like when I first landed in Japan's capital following an 11-hour journey from London. And following the Tokyo section, we move over to Mount Fuji and the surrounding area. So you're going to see lots of views of Mount Fuji and the people living in the surrounding area as well. The next chapter is Kyoto and Osaka. So these kind of show the different sides of Japan, where Osaka is a modern, big, large city, densely populated. Whereas with Kyoto, it's like stepping into a time machine and going back in time, and you get to see the whole traditional and more old side of Japan. The next chapter on, I traveled to the south of Japan, to Nagasaki and Yakushima. So Yakushima is a small island just off the south of Japan, and it's a subtropical island where it rains a lot, there's just dense forests, there's monkeys jumping about. So I kind of just talk about my journey there, which was through a crazy storm. It felt like the boat was going to capsize at one point, but that was a fun day. And the shots from Yakushima, the forest, they're just so different to what you normally see from Japan. After that, we traveled to Ise, which is a city in the Wakayama prefecture in Japan. Now the funny thing is, when I got to Ise, it was actually the day the Emperor of Japan ascended to the throne. So I didn't know this when I was heading into the city. So people were traveling to the city from all across the country the very same day I got there. So it was a nice surprise to see. I got to document that day, and it was one of those lucky moments of being in the right place at the right time. And I'm just really happy with the images I took in this location, because it was like capturing a slice of history, something that really is quite important. And yeah, some of my favorite images of all time were actually taken on that day. So after Ise, we head up to Nagano. So Nagano is a mountainous region of Japan, and it's known for the mountain monkeys. So you've probably seen the images and videos of the monkeys in the hot springs. So we have some of that. And I also drove around the area quite a bit. So I got to photograph the mountainous landscapes. And also, as it was around the time the new emperor ascended to the throne, there was lots of celebrations and lots of shows ongoing as well. On the next chapter, we go up to Fukushima. Now, before I got to Fukushima, I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, as most of you guys know, they had a massive natural disaster. So I really didn't know what was waiting for me when I got there. But I gotta say, I was so surprised at just how beautiful Fukushima is. I mean, the landscapes are just incredible. The people are so nice. There's great food up there. And as you'll see with the photos from this chapter, some of the scenery is just incredible. The landscapes, the colors, the lakes, it just looks so colorful and just so vibrant. It really is quite incredible. So for the last chapter, we head back to Tokyo, and you get to see the shots I took at nighttime. Now, Tokyo at nighttime is completely different to Tokyo at daytime. During the day, it's gray. Most of the city is concrete. There's not a lot of color. Most of the people walking about are in their work outfits, so it's suits and ties, and there really isn't a lot of color about. Now at nighttime, that completely changes. All the advertising lights go up. There's literally just bright colors everywhere. Bright neons, greens, blues, reds. The colors are coming out of everywhere. People are dressed more extravagantly. You got people wearing stuff where it looks like they stepped out of a cyberpunk anime or out of Blade Runner. Like it really is just crazy. And it's just so interesting to see how different the same city is at nighttime compared to daytime. If you are interested in buying Across Japan, I'll drop the link to pre-order it down below. The release date is June the 1st. And yeah, I'm just really excited and eager to hear your thoughts on the book once it's released. And I'm just thankful to be able to pull out a photography book. Had you told me 3 or 4 years ago that I'll be releasing a photography book, I'd probably say you're absolutely crazy. So I'm just super lucky and super happy to be releasing Across Japan. And I hope you guys enjoy it when you get around to reading it. A massive thanks for watching this episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.